Transmission media. And we're going to start looking at wired transmission. Twisted pair will have two or more pairs of wire, usually copper. The reason why the wires are twisted is to stop the signal bleeding into the next pair of wires, which means creating electrical interference. Twisted pairs are grouped into categories. The most common category of wires currently in use are Category 5, Category 5E and Cat 6. Each category is specific for speed and type of network. Some cables can handle lots of speeds, so the base T shows what type of network the cable can handle. Let's look at Category 5 100 base T. The 100 means 100 megahertz, which is 100 megabits per second. Base means baseband. Baseband means that when a computer is transmitting, it uses all the available bandwidth. Broadband will share the bandwidth available. The T means twisted pair. Fibre optic cabling is something we will look at a little later. Its data transfer rate can be as high as 10 gigabits, which is 10 billion bits per second. Do make sure you understand the transmission speed on this slide. If you are at all confused, ask your teacher. Twisted pair comes in two types: unshielded twisted pair and shielded twisted pair. Most of the Ethernet, that's the wired network, uses unshielded twisted pair. Unshielded means it is not protected from electrical interference. Shielded twisted pair is just like unshielded twisted pair, but is protected from electrical interference. Shielded twisted pair is, however, more expensive and bulkier than unshielded twisted pair due to the shield, but is better at maximizing bandwidth and is used in high-end applications. Fibre optic cable uses very thin bands or strands of glass or plastic put together inside a sheath. Data is sent through the glass or plastic strands using light or intense light beam called laser. To make sure the data is transmitted long distance without bleeding, cladding is used. Cladding is like a mirror which reflects the light back into the glass or plastic strand. Because fibre optic strands are much thinner than copper wire, it is easier to install in tight spaces. However, fibre optic cable is expensive and fragile. You cannot bend this cable like you can with wire cabling. As an added note, cabling is usually put in the ceilings, under the floor or between walls. This space is called plenary space. Cabling put here must be fireproof, which makes it more expensive. Early fibre optic system data could only be sent 500 meters before attenuation or weakening of the signal became too much. To increase the distance to 1,000 meters, multi-mode glass fibers were used. These fibers were more reflective and caused the signal as it approached the outside of the fiber to speed up, and so cover a slightly longer distance. Single mode has drastically increased the transmission distance up to 100 kilometers. This is due to the cable diameter being shrunk down from 50 microns, which is about the diameter of human hair, to between 5 and 10 microns. Now that the fibre optic cable is so tight, the light source is perfectly aligned with the cable. Wireless transmission. Data sent by wireless transmission can be sent in one of three radio frequencies, either by microwave, radio, or infrared frequencies. Wireless transmission is a very popular method due to so many mobile devices using this technology to be able to send and receive data. Microwave transmission is sent in a frequency range of 300 MHz to 300 GHz. Signals are sent to devices in line of sight, usually in a series of microwave transmission towers about 60 kilometers apart, before the curvature of the Earth makes it impossible for the towers to see each other. Microwave signals are earthbound and not sent into space to bounce off satellites. Cellular uses high-frequency radio waves. Within a city and suburban area, antennas are equally spaced anywhere between 35 to 72 kilometers apart, depending on a number of factors, such as terrain, design of the tower, and avoidance of interference with other towers. When a mobile user speaks into or sends data from their mobile device, their signal is sent to an antenna and on to its destination. The clever thing with cellular technology is that the system can automatically tell when a mobile device's signal is getting weaker as the device moves away from an antenna. The system will then switch the phone signal to the antenna nearest the mobile device, without communication being lost and usually without the user noticing any changes. Satellite communication also uses the microwave frequency range, where it receives a weak signal in one frequency, then transmits a much stronger signal at a different frequency. The big advantage of using satellite communication is that the curvature of the Earth is no longer a problem. Satellites are placed in low geostationary Earth orbit, so signals can be sent from base stations to fixed satellites kept in sync with the rotation of the Earth.